it's Miss Sunny, and it's story time with Miss Sunny. All right, today we're going to be reading Those Darn Squirrels. All right, and just like every time, we're going to see who the author is and who the illustrator is. The author is Adam Rubin, and the illustrator is Daniel Samari. Now, this book is one of my kids' favorite books, and we love to read this book together. Are we ready? All right. On the outskirts of town, at the edge of the forest, there was a little old house. The only thing older than the little old house was the man who lived in it, Old Man Fuquire. Old Man Fuquire was so old that when he sneezed, dust came out. He was also a grump. He hated pie. And he hated puppies. The only thing that he liked was birds. All summer long, the old man painted pictures of the birds that visited his backyard. There were whirly birds and bing bong birds, ba-ba birds and ya-ba birds. Even a rare flugel bird came by once or twice. Fuquire's paintings weren't very good, but the birds never said anything. When the air turned crisp and the leaves began to change color, the old man grew sad. He knew that soon the birds would fly south for the winter, as they did every year, and that he would be very lonely. Then he had an idea. If he fed the birds, maybe they would stick around. So Old Man Fuquire built beautiful bird feeders and put them up all around his backyard. He filled the feeders with delicious seeds and berries, and soon the birds came from all over the forest just to eat in the old man's yard. You see all the birds? But the birds weren't the only ones who liked the bird feeders. The squirrels did too. Not many people know this, but squirrels are the cleverest of all woodland creatures. In fact, they're fuzzy little geniuses. They can make a house out of a tree, a bed out of a bunch of leaves, and a box kite out of twigs, dirt, and squirrel spit. They are also excellent at math. Winter was fast approaching, and the squirrels needed to gather as much food as they could to get ready, so they decided to take some of the birds' food. The birds were not happy, and neither was Old Man Fuquire. When he discovered what had happened, he shook his old man fist and he yelled, "Those darn squirrels!" He filled up the feeders again, but this time he hung them from clotheslines. Then he went back inside, confident that the squirrels would no longer be able to get to the seeds and berries. But the squirrels were determined. They devised a plan, and this time they took all the food from the bird feeders. The birds were furious. Yelled the bong bong bird. "Those darn squirrels!" yelled Old Man Fuquire. "Yum," said the squirrels. They were nice and fat and happy. Now it was Old Man Fuquire's turn to devise a plan. He went to the general store to get supplies. He bought lasers and clamps. He bought wires and springs. He bought all sorts of tools and built a vertical fortress around his bird feeders. Then he refilled them very carefully so that he did not get hurt. "Na, na, 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 na," snorted the flugel bird. The squirrels stayed up all night working out their strategy. They drank cherry red cola and ate salt and vinegar chips to help keep them stay awake. Finally, they had it, the perfect plan. They put on their tiny helmets and prepared to launch themselves into the air, over the fence, between the lasers, and onto the bird feeders. That's some pretty smart thinking. The first squirrel misfired and hit a tree. The second squirrel went way too high and landed in a bucket. And the third squirrel sailed clear over the house. The birds laughed and laughed. They each had one last delicious mouthful of seeds and berries from the old man's feeder. Then they flew south for the winter, just as they did every year. Zzz, said the flugelbird. After the birds left, Old Man Fuquire was lonely, just as he was every year. He fixed himself some cottage cheese and pepper, his favorite snack, but he was still lonely. When he looked out the window, the squirrels could tell that he wasn't happy. "Go away!" shouted the old man. "I don't like you, squirrels!" Look how sad he is. The squirrels held a meeting deep inside the large tree. They decided to give the old man a present to make up for taking all the seeds and berries. Now, not many people know this, but squirrels are not only fuzzy little geniuses, but they also collect just about everything they can find on the ground. These squirrels had a vast stockpile of spectacular junk to choose from. But what would make Fuquire like? Bottle caps, popsicle sticks, postage stamps. Finally, they had it, the perfect gift. The squirrels stacked all of their loose change on Old Man Fuquire's doorsteps. There were dimes and pennies, there were nickels and quarters, there were even a few tokens from Coco's arcade. It all added up to $47.36, plus a few rounds of skee ball. "Maybe you squirrels aren't so bad," Fuquire said when he found the coins, "but I still like the birds better." This gave the squirrels another idea. They raided their junk collection again and got to work. When Old Man Fuquire woke up the next morning, he was amazed to see that the birds had returned. But wait, those things weren't the birds. They were squirrels in disguise. "Great googly moogly," said Old Man Fuquire. "These will make quite a painting." He ran outside and took down the lasers and the wires and the spring-loaded trapeze. He turned all the bird feeders into squirrel feeders. Then he painted till his brush ran out of bristles. See the squirrels dressed up as birds? The squirrels were so overjoyed, they had a party in Old Man Fuquire's house. "Those darn squirrels," said Fuquire, and he shook his old man fist and smiled. The end. Bye, friends.